And it's there. Today's thumbnail. We are recording this with no camera on me because of the announcement that we are making for Up the Middle Season 2, starting for fall of 2023, right after Labor Day weekend. We will be adding to the network. We are now partnered with both Live 365, our third broadcast partner during this test, and Rocket Broadcaster. Rocket Broadcaster takes all of the sound from my 8-channel soundboard built into the computer, built by Voicemeeter. Awesome board. Love it. We have the potato version. There's basic, banana, and potato. Don't ask. I have no idea how that naming came about. But we've upgraded to the big one from banana to potato for this phase of Up the Middle. Rocket Broadcaster pulls it from Voicemeeter and sends it to Live 365. Live 365 is what distributes us to the internet as an internet radio station. You can find us right now on Live 365, live365.com. Search Yergz. I've done it. I've tested it. I am the only Yergz on Live 365. Yergz. You know that spelling. Search it. Favorite it. Bookmark it. Save it wherever you got to. Because that is the radio method that we have for now. I'm expecting a call from my web developer where we're going to plot 2.0 on yergz.com, adding radio and some other things very necessary for season 2. Then, part of what that list is will be like the podcast directories that you can find up the middle, which as a podcast remains on demand. As long as I have released the episode, you can listen to the episode. On the radio, you will either hear my episode live in real time, which is how we will be recording, or hear the other episodes on a circled through replay of season 1 until we develop enough of season 2. And this is that message for all of you out there, and for those of you interested in sharing your podcast and expanding your audience. Why is that relevant? What does that mean? It means that you're now listening to internet radio, so you're familiar with it. But there are people that I found in the podcast world who are not exposed or familiar with internet radio. And so I've created this station to give them that exposure. They can either, and you, this goes for you listening right now as well, they can either send me through like Dropbox, or there's another one I learned about on Wednesday called Byta, BYTA, I think it is. I got it in my emails because I've got it like a shitload of emails from them already. Yeah, Byta. BYTA.com. Byta.com. I met with the founder in a seminar that he did yesterday. Just a handful of us, too. It was nice. Where it's a file sharing. It's like Dropbox for the music industry because it concentrates on safely transfer of your sound files. So if you're a musician, if you're a podcaster, and in this case, you being a podcaster wanting to put your shows on my station, we would use this or Dropbox or Google or any of the other file sharing cloud programs. And then I would receive it and add it to the library here on Live 365 with Yerg's Radio. Would then edit and create not edit your content, but I would create a playlist, edit the library to create a playlist so that it goes out in real time, or well, not in real time, but in chronological order. I'm having that issue right now with, I don't have my whole first season uploaded yet, but like Corey Allen, for example, was a 2-part interview. I've listened sometimes where it jumps from one episode, from some other episode, right into part 2, which is stupid. Or at the end of part 1, it doesn't pick up with part 2. Well, we'll fix that by the time we go full out live. I mean, we're live now. You can hear us now. But I'm also going to work with Live 365 to get promoted as a new station, as an editor favorite, and have some of the on-air talent reach out to them as well and say, hey, could you help us out? Could you, what can we do to get on that? And see what they do. Once I learn about the other directories, I'm just right now, I think the only one I really know is TuneIn because I've heard of it. I think in part because they also do podcasts, but I'm learning the other directories the same way I've learned the podcast directories, and it's a process, and it's just me. I have redefined Howard Stern's lean, mean fighting machine. So, I want to go through season 1. I'm not going to go like episode by episode, but I mean, clearly there's some things that are not finished yet. We, way back in May, talked about behavior in government. George Santos, Donald Trump. I can't remember his name now, and I don't have show notes for today. I wanted to ramble. But the guy who was from North Carolina, the paralyzed guy who got ousted after his first term, who was, humping his roommate and other things that just got him kicked out, like Boebert is about to find out, and MGT or MTG, whatever it is. We started with soon after. I mean, the first ever we did because it was like the same week or a week after my dog Moby passed away. Obviously, we did the tribute to Schmobes. I still miss that dog. I'm not finished grieving. I don't think I ever will be. I miss Anton. Anton will be dead 11 years. No, 12 years. Yeah, Anton, because Moby was 12. So, yeah, this fall, Anton will be dead 12 years. Lost track of how long Raquel has been gone. She was from back in college. But yeah, miss all those dogs. They're family. That's it. Done. But we also talked, and I was really one of the first to compare the two because it wasn't being done back in May. Jared Kushner and Hunter Biden. And I've conceded happily. I'm not afraid. I'm from both sides of the spectrum. I'm for and against aspects of both sides of the political spectrum. So I was happy to concede that Hunter Biden is no angel. Was he on calls where he used his dad's position to threaten the well-being of others? Probably. Do I give a shit about that? No. If so many on the right are okay with Donald Trump having, sharing, stealing highly classified documents that show and discuss things he should not be discussing with uncleared people, as he did on tape, on video, then I'm certainly not going to be upset that Hunter Biden is behind on his taxes, or was. But when you talk about using his position, then we talked about Jared Kushner using his, and that he was in an official role, unlike Hunter Biden, when he traveled and obtained $2 billion. We don't have a problem with that? Well, actually, we did. Congress was looking into it until the Republicans took control of the House, and then suddenly they weren't looking into it anymore. Nobody from the right can explain that. Nobody. After I concede that maybe Hunter Biden is no angel, I think Hunter Biden will tell you he's no angel. Because it's one thing that the Biden family is not, is ignorant to the obvious. But Jared Kushner took 3 trips to Saudi Arabia starting in September of 2020. Now, what happened in just over a month later? Dad got ousted. Father-in-law, Donald Trump, lost the election. Do you hear that? He lost the election. Yet after that loss, Jared takes 2 more peacekeeping mission trips to Saudi Arabia, where he obtains $2 billion. You're telling me that was not on the clock? Even if it wasn't, that's still how he got there. It's still what he was supposed to be doing while he was there. Yet, that's okay. And then we got into fascism and the far right. And I was, speaking of which, I just got some alert that Jim Jordan makes a sinister move, breaking the fixes in, and then that's on my watch, so it cut out after that. Season 2, plenty of time for that. But fascism and the far right, wokeism and the far left, cancel culture and the far left, which started being used by the far right. Go figure. It's okay for DeSantos. I call him DeSantos instead of DeSantis because it sounds like George Santos, because they're both lying pieces of shit. And I don't hide that. I don't sugarcoat that. I am not going to tell you how to vote. I'm going to tell you to and show you how to do your homework. But 2 people that I will advise you not vote for are DeSantis and Trump. And clearly, for you New Yorkers for whom it's relevant, Santos. And I think that's already a done deal. If not because of Congress, because of his constituents, I think his time's limited beyond. But clearly, Trump and DeSantis have proven their fascism. And if you can't see that, I'll try to help you. I would do what Jesus would do and still welcome you to my table, unlike Trump and DeSantis. But I'm not going to feed you. I'm going to put the food in front of you. You're going to have to eat yourself. So we went into that. A lot of topicality. Some really cool interviews. First one was Will Grant. Hot dude. And that's how I met him. I found him, because his photos were circulating social media. Continued to learn about him to find out that he's a BMX pro. And back in June, we talked to him. He was the first guest on Up the Middle. Continued with Corey Allen, coworker of mine, fellow gay Secret Service agent, and discussed his book, Breaking Free. He's doing well with that. We'll have him back when he writes the sequel. Because clearly we all felt like there was kind of something missing once we got to that last page, and there was. Part 2, and it's coming. So maybe we'll see that in season 2 or 3 or whenever, but definitely Corey Allen will be back. Wanted to also thank a bunch of people who have inspired me, coached me, are behind Up the Middle, Yerg's Radio, the Yerger Group, Talk TV 24 is on some of my social media and is a YouTube channel in addition to Up the Middle, where, like the radio, I help video podcasters expand their audience and throw out a wider net. Again, if you heard the earlier thing about, expanding for here on Yerg's Radio, then, the same goes for Talk TV 24 if you're interested. That one's got to be video, though. So let's get out some thanks. First, here's always an accomplishment that can be a red flag to some or is a good thing to others, depending on your take. I am still pretty good friends with an ex with whom we did not end well. Once he really aggressively began to tackle his addiction, he became a totally different person. We're not going to get back together, but we still have love for each other. And he called as recently as last night just to say hello, check in, check on the dogs. He is essentially the other dad for both Moby and Matrix, and we stay in contact. He's become a fan, and his ability and his degree in communication has always been a support to anything I've done with the arts of any sort and communications of any sort, and actually business too, for that matter, because he's helped write business plans for me. That's Brian Goldthorpe. Brian's up in Ohio right now, where he's originally from. He started a new job helping, oddly enough, those suffering from addiction and those battling addiction. He's loving the new job and clean, sober lifestyle. I know clean is like a word you're not supposed to use, but when we're talking about chemicals and shit that's going through your body, that's not good. So that's what I'm referring to. I'm not referring to you being a dirty person. That's not the thing. That's not what it means. But in his sobriety, he's having some awesome success, and it's relayed over to us. So we love Brian and appreciate him, and continue to support him as he supported us. Next up, some other podcasters that have helped me continue through this. One is a buddy of mine from high school who connected me to our third thank you. But thank you number 2 is Gary Williams and his show. I've got his coaster right here. My coffee is sitting on it. The Backroom Show. If you're not familiar with what that is, a back room is usually in a bar, corner bar, pub type place. There's the bar room, in which is the bar, stools around the bar, other high top tables, or even booths, depending on the type of setup and the amount of space and whatever. But sometimes there's the back room. It's like a smaller additional side dining room or room, whatever. I know one of the back rooms I know of in my hometown of Boyertown, Pennsylvania, is actually a poker room. It's also a private club, so it can be a poker room if no money. Pennsylvania is funky with their laws like that. But because of all the friends that he constantly has on as guests on his show isn't so much about expanding as much as it is keeping people together on that level. And he's doing an awesome job of it. I'm a huge fan of what he does. Tried to get him on Talk TV 24, but he declined because, again, it's not what he's trying to do. And I get that, so I don't push. I haven't gone back to him since, and I won't. He knows the invitation's there for his or any of the other shows that's now on his YouTube channel. But it was because of me following him and enjoying his content that I saw thank you number 3, who was a guest on his show. And that was one of my junior high English teachers. Jane Stahl is the host of the Be Inspired podcast, on which I was already a guest. And when I had to, listen to a couple episodes because she was a good, fun interview for Gary, made for a fun episode. And it was just good to see her still doing well now that she's retired from teaching. And like me, enjoying the retired life, staying busy, clearly. She also manages Studio B, which is an art gallery in our hometown. But I said, okay, I got to at least check it out for her. That's what you do, especially in podcasting. We all support each other, and that's what helps grow the listener base. And I liked it. The first episode I listened to was actually her inaugural episode where she interviewed some banker. And my first thing I thought was like, how in the hell is this lady going to make a banker interesting? And he was. My takeaway from it, I don't remember, the particulars of, he had been at this bank, then moved to that bank, as executives in banking often do. But I do remember it being interesting. And that's the biggest takeaway, is that her skills are such that she can take an everyday person who may be perhaps wrongly labeled as boring and bring out the interesting, noteworthy topics from them. So yeah, we got to talking then. She reintroduced me to another high school teacher of mine, Leslie Misko. Thank you, number 4, with whom I'll also be working beginning this fall. Jane and I are going to have a podcast together that we may put the repeat. We're not going to do anything live with it. That's, her wishes. But I'll definitely put the repeats here on Yerg's Radio, called Both Sides Now. We're just going to get together weekly, talk about it, and chat it out, and there we go. And maybe we'll record the same way we're recording today's episode, with a thumbnail for artwork, and then put that on Talk TV 24, and you just listen on Talk TV 24, as you will on the radio, as you will on any podcast that we put it directory to. So we'll see. But all of that will be able to be found at yergs.com. Then with Leslie, she's a retired English teacher as well, and she's inspired me and will helping me be to contribute to the Boyertown Expression. It's kind of like a daily newspaper / blog that's only electronic. And usually there's even only like one story a day, and that's why I call it a blog, because yesterday's story is right underneath today's. And here's somebody who's taking some boring or a mundane or just everyday topics and giving them needed worth, and distributing to the community and getting it out there. So cheers to Jane and Leslie. Thank you both for reconnecting. We will be working together this fall. I'm going to be, like I said, writing for the Boyertown Expression. We decided that probably the coolest thing to start out with, at least, I have a file on my computer here that are the screensavers. They're various celebrities who I've met or have somehow influenced me in life. And then there's a quote from that celebrity, how that particular quote has influenced me. So I'm going to take that quote and write about it, tell that story of the influence, and hopefully let it influence others in the positive direction that it's given me. The first one's going to be Sir Anthony Hopkins. He has a quote that is in my file, and these different files rotate through as screensavers and desktops and such on the network computer that I'm using right here for streaming, video, audio, everything. Sir Anthony said that most of us develop later in life. In high school, I was an idiot. So because, my 2 bosses for that project are high school teachers of mine, I chose that. And I think it's a great start, because I did have a great high school career. By 12 years old, I was umpiring Little League Baseball. By 13, I was officiating ice hockey. With baseball, I would eventually make it to minor league baseball and umpire 2 years professionally. With hockey, I would be to the United States Olympic Training Center twice. Never made it to the majors or NHL in either, but made it to the major leagues in law enforcement, where I continued to develop as a person. So I did not peak, I don't think, in what was an amazing life in high school. And so I'll be telling that story this fall on the Boyertown Expression. Next, of course, are my parents. For coming up on 52 years, they've had their foot up my ass and my head on their shoulder, depending on what I needed. So Irv and Sue Yerger, also still up in Boyertown, Pennsylvania. Thanks to both of you. Love both of you very much. Thanks for everything you do. And now being grandparents to my next son, Zach, who I came into my life last summer of 2022, after I had retired from the Secret Service and, decided, time for a family, looked into adoption. He came into my life. He's been absolutely amazing. We agreed to homeschool him for his final year of high school, his senior year, which was this past year. And he did great. We're now looking at colleges. That's way different. Back when I went to college, you started applying in like February for the fall. It's August. We're just applying now, and that's fine. I guess, with the immediacy of technology, you can wait this long. I freaked. I was so nervous this summer, but, now we're going to do it this week, and it's Thursday. Next, of course, the namesakes to my other podcast, The Doggy Traders, and just the 4 dogs in my life that have kept me pretty grounded and appreciative of some really simple things. First was Raquel, back when I was in high school and college, the chocolate lab that we had at the Yerger household. We went back into a burning building after her when our house caught fire one summer. And I'll do it all again. Then 12 years ago, well, actually 18 years ago, I brought this little puppy home that I named Anton. He turned out to be a 115-pound Rottweiler who was also amazing. After about 6.5 years, caught cancer, and we had to say goodbye. Already acquired by that point, Moby, who spent 12 years and 13 days with me. Another third amazing dog. Did a great job helping me raise Matrix, the 4th one, who he just left. He was in here laying with me till he got up and went to the other room. He is now 7 years old, and he's the last that I have left of the 4. All amazing dogs. Fellow podcasters who I've listened to, learned so much from, some of which I don't necessarily like, but I learned to not do that, which is also good. And lastly, so many of the men and women of the United States Secret Service who listen to some of these political asshats all day, and God love us, at least me for while I was there, we kept our mouth shut as best as we could. Now I get to be that voice for everybody on the left side of the political spectrum and on the right side of the political spectrum. We all cross over. We all have different beliefs. 37% of Republicans are for abortion. That's not a Republican value. But 37% are for abortion. And season 1, I've been pretty hard on the Republicans. I will be just as critical on some of the knuckleheads on any of the knuckleheads from the left. But just in season 1 this past summer, I think if you look at it objectively, you will realize that they've kept me a little busy. So, my hat's off to the men and women of the Secret Service. Stay in touch, all of you, at yergs.com. Look forward to season 2 of Up the Middle, right after the Labor Day weekend. Not much of a break, so we'll see you again soon, right here on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. Also on YouTube on both Up the Middle and Talk TV 24, and now on Yergs Radio. Also broadcasting 24/7 and available to you through live365.com. Just search Yergs. Get ready to check us out soon on Yergs.com The radio station will be there eventually, hopefully by this fall's launch, but we got to give Jay the right amount of time to do this last minute ad, and then it's off to the races. Soon after season 2, we'll be continuing this presidential race for the 2024 bid, and of course we won't be stopping the discussion on that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for going straight up the middle. We'll see you after Labor Day.